Hello, boys and girls. My name is Ashley Gardner, and I'm the Director of Children's Ministries at MLEPC. This week, since it's Holy Week, we're going to be going through every single day a different story leading up to the cross and then to the empty tomb to remind us of what Jesus did for us. We're going to be using this book called the Easter Story Egg, and then we have this egg to go along with it every single day. So today is Wednesday. The lessons that we've done so far, we learned about when Jesus entered into Jerusalem and the crowds were laying palm branches down before him and shouting, "Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord," and they were giving him the welcome of a king. Then on Monday, we did this egg, which is the temple. It is when Jesus went in and he turned over the tables in the temple because he was saying that instead of being a house of prayer, which is what it's meant to be, that it had turned into a den of robbers. And so he was driving out all the people selling things and saying that it should be just where we come to pray. Then yesterday, Tuesday, we did this egg. We did the heart, and this was the day where it was Jesus teaching, and he taught us to love, and we talked about how Jesus taught us to love God with all of our hearts, all our souls, and all of our minds, but he also taught us to love our neighbors and ourselves and what that meant. So today, like I said, normally we would be reading out of this book. I'm going to tell you the story today. So rather than reading it, we're still going to do the egg, but I'm going to tell it using my own words. So we're going to open up and see what we have. This is a jar, and it has a liquid flowing out of it, which is actually an oil. It's nard. And in today's story, this was sometime very close to Holy Week. Jesus went to the house of someone for a feast, for a dinner. And while he was there was a man there by the name of Lazarus. Now you guys might recognize that name. Lazarus is the one that Jesus brought back from the dead. Remember, he had been dead for 4 days, and Jesus went to visit him, and the sisters, Mary and Martha, were weeping and said, "Jesus, if you had been here, he wouldn't have died." And Jesus went to the tomb and called out to Lazarus and said, "Lazarus, wake up!" And Lazarus came walking out of the tomb, still wearing his grave clothes. So this was a little bit after that, not long. I'm not exactly sure how much after, but Lazarus was alive, and Lazarus was at this feast. And not only was Lazarus there, but Lazarus's sister, Mary. Now, I want you to think about a time where you have been thankful for something. If you could be thankful for anything at all, what would be the thing you were the most thankful for? Maybe a special toy, maybe your family, maybe not having to go to school for a couple weeks. Well, Mary was so thankful to Jesus for saving her brother. He truly brought him back from the dead. He saved Lazarus's life. And Mary wanted to show Jesus her love and thanks for that act. So what Mary did was she did something pretty incredible while she was at this feast. We don't see it as much nowadays, but back in Bible times, they would have bottles of very expensive perfume. And Mary had one of these bottles. It was in a stone alabaster jar. I have one here, not an alabaster jar, but just this is a vase, but picture that this was a jar and picture that it had very expensive perfume in it. The perfume was so expensive that it would have taken someone a year of work to pay for this perfume. So a whole lot of money. And these jars of perfume were sealed in a way that if you were going to open and use the perfume, you couldn't just open it up and seal it back up. You would have to break off the top of the jar and basically use all of the perfume at once. So what Mary did was she went to Jesus. She went to Jesus' feet and she broke open this bottle of perfume this expensive bottle of perfume, and she poured it out. She poured it out, the whole thing, on Jesus' feet. And what she did was she actually took her hair and she took this perfume, and on his feet she rubbed the perfume and she poured it on his head, and she was showing Jesus how much she loved him and how thankful she was for what he did. This was a huge sacrifice for her. This was a ton of money. This was probably a very, very, very valued possession of hers. But she wanted to show Jesus that Jesus was more important than whatever was in that jar. Now, we looking at that today might say, that's incredible that Mary showed that much love, how wonderful it was. But the people that were there started grumbling about it. They started complaining. And one of the biggest people complaining was a man named Judas. Judas was one that would actually kind of take care of all the money. He would be the money holder. And Judas said, why did she not sell this perfume? She could have sold it and the money could have been used for the poor. This was a waste. Jesus could have agreed with her. Jesus could have said, you're right. I'm sorry, Mary, you need to take back that perfume. You wasted it all. But Jesus didn't have that response. This story is found in the Bible, in the book of John. And it's in John chapter 12. And Jesus, rather than yelling at her, says, leave her alone. It was intended that she should save this perfume for the day of my burial. You will always have the poor among you, but you will not always have me. Jesus knew that his time was coming very, very soon, even that week. And what Mary did was truly preparing him for his death. She didn't realize that at the time, but Jesus knew it, and Jesus was accepting that act of love. Jesus was accepting that Mary was basically willing to give it all, and he thought it was a good thing. Judas, on the other hand, had very different intentions. Now, Judas, like I said, was the keeper of the money bag. He wasn't really caring about the poor, though. Judas was stealing from the money bag. He would take some of the money out and keep it for himself. So after this happened, Judas decided that he was actually going to go and betray Jesus. He was going to go to the temple officials and agree to turn Jesus over, to turn Jesus into them so that they could arrest him. And for 30 pieces of silver, Judas agreed that he was going to hand Jesus over to them. So this woman didn't care, Mary didn't care how much money it was going to cost her to follow Jesus, to serve Jesus, to show Jesus her love and thanksgiving. But Judas, on the other hand, wanted to take. For 30 pieces of silver, he was willing to give up Jesus, to basically turn him over and give up his life. So as we're in the midst of Holy Week, I want you to think about yourself. In this scenario, in the Mary and Judas, which one would you be? Are you the one that would be willing to give it all, or are you the one that would want to take to gain for yourself? It's a hard thing to think about. I think we all would want to be Mary. We all would want to be giving. But think of, what ways are we giving right now? What are you doing right now to show Jesus your love, to be giving to others, to be helping others, to be truly living your life in a way that serves? You guys don't have your wages worth of perfume or anything like that, but what do you have that you can use to share, to serve, to show love? Whether it be talents and abilities, whether it's just sitting and talking to someone, calling someone who's lonely, making cards, sharing toys maybe with kids that don't have them. If your family has extra food, donating food to people that are in need right now. Think of ways that you can give instead of take. and be like this woman who was willing to give it all to show her love for Jesus. Show your love as well. So I look forward to seeing you guys again tomorrow as we come back and open up this egg for our Thursday egg. I bet many of you might be able to guess as we're going into Maundy Thursday what might be on this next egg, but you're gonna have to tune in tomorrow to see. So thank you guys so much. I look forward to seeing you again, and enjoy the rest of Holy Week as we journey to the cross. All right, thanks. Have a great day.